Hey guys, HX22, and we are back with the M2 man portable project. And as you can see, we've been scrounging a few parts here and there. Nothing too terribly crazy, different from the last time. Managed to score a complete M3 buffer housing backplate. This thing is heavy, really heavy relative to what I was expecting. Probably going to have to run with an M2 to minimize weight, but this will work for now from a functional standpoint. I'll probably just keep my eyes open for a stripped down non-spade grip buffer assembly. These are just massively overbuilt. I don't know if you're familiar with how the standard M2 back assembly is constructed, but the M3 has a lot more meat. You can see it has lips that wrap around the side plates to hold them instead of just a little dovetail that goes in the center. That's to cope with the much higher cyclic rate from the M3. As you can see here, we've got a M3 buffer assembly, or just the housing for it, I suppose. You can tell it's an M3 because it doesn't have the depressor slits. Like there's usually slots machined in here that have little fingers that stick forward on the standard M2. So yeah, you can tell it's an M3 that way. I don't know if these are adaptable to M2 spec or if I would have to run the side plate mounted depressors, or if that's a significant thing one way or the other. This was $40. This was $40. I actually scored them over at Sarco. They're one of those items that will not add to their web cart because they're improperly coded, and I think the pricing's actually from a few years back when $40 was a reasonable price for this. Now it's a stupid cheap price, so you guys might want to get on that. I got mine, so now I can tell you about it. That's also where I got the barrel extension complete and just a little bit rusty for $40. Top plate, top cover. This is an M3 top cover assembly. You can tell, you know, the M2 has more of a swoop to it. It's got the same kind of a profile both front and rear, and it's a little bit longer between the pivot point and the pawl slot. It also this was again I think $40 for the top cover. The little pivot arm I think was $16. These were all under their grade B parts. Screaming deal. I don't actually know what this is. Or where it goes on the gun. That's something that I could definitely use some help with. I assume that it has something to do with the feed mechanism, and it slides over the top plate and then rivets down, but I really don't know. So yeah. Oh, I also dug my, I guess this would be the oversleeve for the aircraft wing. I just had that kicking around. It turns out it goes over the M3 outer jacket. I didn't know if this replaced this or what, but it looks like this actually slides in and then uses these as the these little, I'm not even sure what to call this, key to lock into place for like ball turret gunners, or something of that nature. I did acquire the other bolt, and I have it here with the other barrel extension. It's probably not going to get used. This one's kind of nice. It has a good condition mating surface. It does have the this little bit all intact, but as you can see, someone burned through it pretty good with a torch. And I'm not 100% sure on how I feel about the status of the metal here. This one would be a good one to do for the single shot firing. Just basically knock the lip out, make it so that you can fit the cartridge, 50 BMG cartridge, in place on it, and then made it to the extension, put the little key in place, and fire it. I was talking with the mad scientist about potentially using parts from both of these bolts in the creation of one bolt, and I'm not sure if this is a particularly wonderful idea. In fact, it might be pretty stupid, but it's not going to stop me from speculating and thinking about it. The biggest issue on this bolt really is this these surfaces being dinged up, and the fact that putting heat into them to re-weld those surfaces, because that is the little notch that actually holds the bolt in place. That could be kind of a critical thing. That could be a real big problem if it's going to wear at an uneven rate, or really do anything that's going to be compromised metallurgically. I mean, I might really want to just splurge and get a good bolt, but as long as we're being completely insane, it would theoretically be possible to cut the front end of this bolt off, which is good and has no damage or really any wear, and then take this bolt, which is compromised from about here forward, and essentially just pin them together. The headspace is set on this by compression. We'd probably still be able to. I mean, there's the issue could arise that it could pull itself apart, I suppose. But it could possibly be a reasonable thing to do to just, well, this is torch cut a little bit, so it might still need to be re-welded. But cut, move this piece over, stick it on, call it good. That said, these are, different styles of bolt, so I mean, I really don't know enough to speculate as to what the exact differences are on them. I think one's just an earlier spec, one's a later spec, but I mean, there's very clear differences in machining on these. I really hope somebody out there knows a thing or two about M2HBs. A lot of the wisdom on these, I think, is arcane and known only to the enthusiasts that have been partaking of these for a long time. Those of us that are scrounging our M2HBs out of junk bins and cast-offs. I mean, number one, that's probably just a horrible idea, but given that we've made peace with the fact that it's a horrible idea, just knowing what will fit with what and not blow up is a question. We don't have that information. That's very cool. I like the flaming bomb stamp. I really think this is the earlier spec bolt. I found a source for these for $20 a pop. The guy's got 90 of them. I think I'm going to call him up and see just how light of a D mill he might have kicking around. Show him the videos, explain to him what I'm doing, and then sign away, everyone's life, basically saying that we won't do anything. We won't hold them accountable for, when we detonate in this thing and, castrate ourselves by holding it at waist level. Which is something that has come up as a potential problem. If we did get an out-of-battery detonation and we have skeletonized the receiver and all the internal components significantly, it'll allow for a 50 BMG round or 2 or 3 to detonate simultaneously and exit the physical structure in a direction that would point it a little closer to comfort than one might hope, especially if it's being held, you know, at waist level. So perhaps borrowing like a bomb suit might not be a horrible idea, just in general principle. Still haven't sourced trunnions. I got a line potentially on some that are, you know, quote unquote dummy gun grade, so they might be rusted up and ugly, and you know, there's nothing really that we can't rebuild on a trunnion or a plate, the top plate or the bottom plate. I don't think the bottom plate might have some issues regarding the timing of the gun, but I don't think so. They were designed to pretty much last forever. You know, we are going to have to skeletonize this stuff. It doesn't look like there's going to be much that needs to stay. We'll cut, hopefully, in triangles, skeletonize the top cover, you know, drill the sides like a hot rod style for weight. Probably drill it up here as well, just making sure that we don't compromise any of the sliding surfaces when we deburr everything. We may actually drill the barrel extension as well. I'm not 100% sold on that, just because that is a significant bit of structure there. You know, anything that directly holds the force of the blast is kind of something I don't want to compromise on a 50. 50s just, they really just don't screw around. You know, you have a bad day with one of these and it just, it's debilitating, right? Not the kind of thing you fire while your health insurance is lapsed, particularly if it's cut down and, you know, modified and built out of the junk bin. I don't know how much we're going to be able to skeletonize. I mean, this stuff is just ridiculously heavy duty. You know, making any holes in this might compromise the slot. If we go smaller, we could drill it out on the flats, I suppose. I mean, it's got a lot of meat in some of that. That said, we can't go too big. I don't want to, like, compromise any of the lines on it. At $40, I don't have a huge problem, you know, trying milling this one out or drilling it out and seeing how much weight we can get off. Definitely do a before and after on the modifications, just so we can get it on a little kitchen scale and see how much weight we can really pull out of this thing in the process. You know, the little voice in the back of my head that gives me bad ideas says, you know, we really should build this one as a post sample on an 0702's license and, you know, see how much weight we can pull out of it and then see how much, what sort of cyclic rate we could really get. But then, you know, then you're building an NFA post sample, full auto, snub nose, ultra lightweight, skeletonized M2HB for the purpose of firing it from the hip, which just, I mean, you know, you just start stacking elements on there until I just don't see that having a positive outcome. As fun as it might be to eventually do, if in the event that it is the case, something that we want to pursue, what might be a better idea is to skeletonize all of the components that we can, and then build a drop-in full auto conversion. I mean, just on these, you know, Browning designs, for the most part, you know, the semi modifications consist of the denial bar inside the receiver, and then some modifications to the sear and the fire control mechanism. And so you basically create a denial bar so that you can only fit the machined out semi-auto version into it. Now that doesn't mean you can't, you know, if you have the proper federal licensing, you can't build a machined out drop-in full auto conversion that just works. A lot of the times the present stuff will be designed to try to make that a little more difficult, but it's not that difficult to make a gun that was designed originally to be full auto run full auto again. You know, especially if all that they did was really make it so you couldn't stick the original guts back in. You know, you make some modifications to the original guts, you stick them back in, and you're good. This shouldn't be a shock or a surprise to anyone. So, you know, we might be able to get away with just spending another, you know, a couple $100 on the internals, doing it as a post sample on one of our friendly neighborhood 0702s, and then trying it later on as a full auto after we've verified that in semi-auto it doesn't, you know, detonate anyone's wedding tackle, which is, you know, it's my big concern. So, yeah, bit at a time here and there. The trunions are really the next big thing that I'm going to try to source. There's a couple of ads that I found from, you know, websites that have old stock that's display parts, torch cut, etc. I think for all the receiver components, torch cut, you know, grade B, etc. won't be a problem. I really don't care about the rust. I mean, this top cover from Sarco, I really can't say enough about good value on that, because, I mean, you're going to drop 100 on a good deal, probably 150 on a normal purchase price, up to like 225 for one in really good condition for the top cover. And this we've got for like $56 with the lever. It's, you know, I just don't see the downside there. Might even be able to scrounge up some more internals for it. And as I'm sure you guys have seen from some of our other restoration videos, rust really isn't a problem, especially this kind of surface rust. There's like some pitting. You'll note on the buffer assembly here, especially right around that hole. I mean, again, this whole thing kind of smells like it's been sitting on a crate somewhere. May have been urinated on by cats, which is, you know, an irritating thing. But it also could just be the smell of the rust and whatever solvent may have gotten around it. I mean, ammonia is ammonia. So, yeah, that's about what I got for you guys. I think I've probably chewed up enough of your time. Still working on this, still working on a bunch of the other projects. You know, like, subscribe, comment. We appreciate all the feedback. Working on a bunch of really cool stuff right now. Hopefully gonna be turning out a few more movies and or videos, and sticking to the whole minimum of one a week, released Friday, with fingers crossed, knock on wood, additional ones on Monday. So that's what's up, and yeah, it's coming along. A couple of bucks here, a couple of bucks there, and we're gonna have an M2HB. Well, it's not really gonna be an HB. We're gonna have something in 50 that's semi-automatic and belt fed. That's just weird, unusual, and excessive. It's gonna be excessive. All right, have a good one, guys.